Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Rangers Jungle Fury voice actor panel at Power Morphicon Online. With me, I have the two legendary voice actors. We got Geoffrey Dolan. Care to introduce yourself and the character you play as?
No, sure. Feel free to as well. The character I play, I can't remember. I played so many. It could be Koragg, it could be Gosei, it could be Omni, it could be so many other characters there. But who's that one there? I can't even see that.
Dai Shi, the main villain of Jungle Fury.
The very mysterious Dai Shi. So there's been many over the years. So it's just a pleasure to be here with all of you guys.
Wonderful. And last but not least, we have Peter Ford. And care to introduce us to the character you played?
I played a couple of characters, just two, not compared to you, Geoffrey, like a million. I played Porcupongo, the fantastic porcupine monster guy, and that was in Jungle Fury, I believe. And also Generation 9 amphibious attack bot, aka water hoser.
Wonderful. Yes, Jungle Fury and RPM were a wonderful way to end the Disney era of Power Rangers, if I do say so myself. First, real quick, how are things going on in your lives right now in New Zealand? Jeff?
Yep, sure. Mum, I can see you lurking in the background. I'm at my mum's house, so things are going well. I'm just touring the country at the moment. I'm heading into, we can still see you, looking ridiculous behind me. You've just made the interview, so that's good. Please don't turn the light on because it shines in the book. Anyway, mums, that's what you have them for. So yes, I'm currently traveling the country. We're in a very good state here. Peter, I'm sure Peter will agree with our ability to move around and participate in things and go to sport and concerts and our restaurants and bars and all the rest of it. Things seem to be freeing up in other places. Work is increasing, sort of. There's been quite a few American productions in town over the last 12 months, taking advantage of our relatively free status. This is the reason for me growing my hair out at the moment, having to look less like a policeman and more like a monster that could possibly appear in an untitled Amazon production. But I'm going to be on, what do we got? What's it called? Netflix in a couple of weeks.
Wonderful.
With the start of Sweet Tooth. I had a guest appearance in Sweet Tooth.
Nice.
Episode 3 of that. So I think that starts this week on Netflix.
I'll be sure to check it out.
Yeah. It's something different. Things are cruising. Still a lot of free time. Work went very, very slow last year with COVID. And slowly, because the majority of what I tend to do now is corporate entertaining, emceeing conferences and awards nights and singing, et cetera, and that went very quiet last year. Left me plenty of time to be able to do voices in Power Rangers, which I did a couple of guest appearances and a voice. And I'm currently doing another voice at the moment, which I won't tell you about the character, but it's a voice in Dino Fury, which just wrapped last weekend. So
wonderful. Yeah. Glad to hear that. I can't wait to hear your voice when it pops up.
This is I enjoyed this one. This is a very different voice this time around. It's actually quite fun, so I'm looking forward to people hearing it. I'm having fun with it.
Wonderful. And Peter, how about you?
Yeah, Mum, go back to your room. Oh, God, we all live with our mothers in New Zealand. You know that, don't you?
You obviously didn't cast your mum.
No. Oh, look, no, good. Life's good. Yep. I mean, it's pretty well business as usual here for us. I mean, there was a blip, COVID. A big blip, but I mean, we can just look out to the rest of the world and think, wow, we dodged a whole lot of bullets, and things are getting back to normal. A lot of productions on here at the moment. Is that big secret one that everyone talks about? Well, we can't name it. It's like the Scottish play. I haven't got enough hair yet to get a part in that, but Jeff's got special additives, I know, because he's got his own product. It's called Jeff's Special Additive Product. I believe it's on the market. Not saying that well. How's that going, that product?
Unfortunately, I'm having to use all of it at the moment to my hair the length. So yeah.
Well, you need to wash it with all of Neptune's oceans.
It's like trying to get AstraZeneca vaccine into yourself. So I'm holding up.
I'm double dosed. I've been vaccinated, and you too, Jeff. Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm also double vaccinated, so Anywho, so moving on to our first question. How did the two of you got started doing voices for Jungle Fury? Jeff?
Sure. Again, audition process in the initial stages, but once you sort of kind of get established as a voice, you get even for this latest voice I had to do, still had to audition. They get in touch with the agent and they say, "Are you available? We're going to be doing some stuff." And you go in, you get fed the character brief. You get a bit more information now than you used to. Back in the day, it was basically you got sent the scripts. You had very little idea of what the actual storyline you were committing to was, or what the flow of it, or what the context of the character was. But now you get a bit more background. You might even get to see what the character looks like. And so again, it's a standard acting situation. Get in there with the voice director, submit your voice, and then they pass it on to the producers, and they make the call. So it's just that's sort of the voice lottery, really. Whatever they like. So
yeah, that's right. I mean, as Jeff says, I mean, he's done heaps. I haven't done that many, but I mean, it's just your standard audition process, and but they don't give you much to go on back in the day. You just sort of get a snippet, and you make it up as you go along and fill in the gaps. And whatever we did must have worked, because it's still going. And it's a hell of a fun process. Of course, every voice actor on the show knows you got to warm the hell your voice up well, because you buggered after a session. And
I mean, as Peter will be able to attest as well, you don't really get. I think we've talked about this in the past, because we don't actually get to see the show at all until very, very recently. It wasn't screened in New Zealand, so all we got to see were the scenes that we were in, that we were recording, and how they might fit into that part of the scene. But we never got to see whole scripts or whole episodes of anything that we were involved in. And so even afterwards, I've never seen a whole episode with Koragg. I've never seen a whole episode with Gosei in it, or Dai Shi. We've just never seen them, because they were never broadcast in New Zealand, and we never got offered that option from the production house. So it's a bit of a mystery for us too. It's eventually found it in the end, because we see these on YouTube or something, and you go, "Wow, that's what they did." Okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly, Jeff. I mean, I only just really looked into it since I've been involved in the last few weeks with you guys, you crazy cats. But I didn't realize it was so huge. The whole merchandising, it's a world. People live in that world, and it's a world within a world. And I just did not know. As Jeff said, I might have been on TV for a little while here, but my kids never watched it. I've never known it. But it's monstrous. It's fantastic. It looks like the way it's going, it can go on forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually find it really interesting the way you talk about how none of you ever see any of the actual episodes, because the show's not in New Zealand. You only see the clips that you're in. It kind of reminds me of what I've read of Shakespeare productions back in the 16th century, where like each actor, they would only have access to their own line and the last line from the previous person that would talk before them as a cue. So it's kind of like that in a sense, where you just have that small window. But thankfully, Shout Factory, they got those DVDs. In fact, Jungle Fury was actually one of the earliest seasons that I actually got outside of Mighty Morphin. So, but moving on to the second question, what was the process for you to figure out what voice to use for your character? Jeff?
For myself, I sort of because we get, and especially back in the day, we got very limited background as to what the sort of the origin of the character was. I took a lot of it from how the character looked. If we got to see a shot of it, might even only be a drawing, or you might see a clip. You certainly during your audition period, you didn't really get to see much of the character at all. As I say, you might have seen a drawing or just a static. And so I took it from what I could see within that image. So whether there was, the characters nowadays are quite way over the top, decorated. They're a little bit simple back then, but they might have a shield on them that it might have a lion or a dragon or something in it. So I would use that as my basis to where I took the voice into. So if it had as I say with Koragg, it had the wolf blazings on the side. So I just sort of tried to find a bit of a wolfish sort of voice, kind of down and dark, but more growly as opposed to a roar. Because I think Dai Shi was looking at more of a lion basis there, and used that sort of more base again, but more of a roaring character as opposed to a growling character. If that sounds conceivable, but it was literally just you grabbed what you could make the most of, and then it was up to the producers from there, and you could have been completely off with what you did. And that's happened before. I've auditioned for more and more characters than I've actually had, and missed probably as many as I've actually been in. So,
yeah, totally. And well, it's left up to our own imaginations, really, how on earth you match a monster character to these crazy creatures. So you just experiment, and as Jeff says, what work matching the movements of the creature, and really just put your imagination on the line and back yourself that whatever you think might match with that does, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You get the gig or you don't. But really, it's because we had a snippet, but not much to go on at all of. So we had to fill in the gaps, and if you get the gig, obviously that's what the producers want.
Like making dinosaurs out of frog DNA. I find both of your voices to be really interesting, especially how Porcupongo, he's all needly in his voice, and like going on to your Vengeance character, you try to make your character sound like all like hollow pipe sort of thing.
I don't know if Peter's getting it, but I'm getting a real lot of feedback or echoing on your voice when you're speaking.
No, I'm okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking a lot of something. I'm not sure what it is. So.
Can you hear me fine?
Yeah.
There's no feedback on my end? Okay.
No, okay, yeah.
Okay, kayfabe. But yes, I appreciate the process that the two of you put into your voices. How, because this character looks this way, so maybe I should make my voice sound a little bit like that. That resembles the sort of costume theme, and I appreciate that. Moving on to the next question. Is there any fun behind-the-scenes moments during recording your characters in Jungle Fury?
It's all fun. It is so much fun, the whole thing. Because it is so crazy. And you're with Jim McClarity, and he's most of the time. If it wasn't fun, it wouldn't work. When we're not recording, we're messing around, and we're just laughing at the absurdity of it all, and channeling all that energy into the next record scene. So it's totally fun, totally, and hard work, but mostly fun.
I mean, it's quite a bizarre situation there. You get to turn up, and there's some poor stunt guy, possibly from Japan, who's there to do all the martial arts scenes and all the rest of it. A lot of the guys that are doing all the once they are the ranger, they tend to be one of the Japanese or Asian martial arts guys that's all in the suit to do all the moves, and they get thrown. They're the actual stars of the show. They get thrown around the forests and studios and blown up and have to do all the fighting. And I come into a studio in my jandals and like, what do you call over there, flip flops or thongs, and my shorts and my tank top, singlet.
Not thongs, Jeff. The Americans think the thongs are their undies.
That's right.
You might be wearing. I mean, you probably wear undies, but you might just
wear them on my feet might not be appropriate, but I do. So I come in, dressed for just being. I'm in a studio, no one can see me, and I do this voice, and then all of a sudden, the likes of yourself, Mikhall, get in touch and go, "We want to talk to you about your character," and it's sort of it's quite. I just find that quite bizarre because I'm only part of it. This is a whole other person that's done a whole pile of more physical, continuous work than I have. I've just turned up and gone, I am Dai Shi, and what a bizarre experience.
Wonderful. So my fourth question is, what specific aspects about the character that you played that you enjoyed the most?
I have to say, Dai Shi for me was one of my more brief characters, and it was also a very long time ago. And so my recollections of that enjoyment right now is very misty. It was one of my earlier characters, and so I was really excited about being in studio and being able to do it and being part of this. Because we knew that the franchise itself had been going for quite some time, and that it was internationally it was very successful. We didn't know how big it was because, as Peter said, we hadn't seen any of the merchandising. We hadn't seen the show. We hadn't received any figures about how it rated, etc. But the fact that it did many years internationally before it got to New Zealand, and the fact that it's still here 20 years later, says to us now, well, I mean, it's a phenomenon really within the entertainment industry. And at the time, I was excited to be part of a big American production. We'd just come out of Xena and Hercules, and so this was another step in that whole American connection. And we would like, fantastic. Now this is it's a whole new world for us again, because there was a lot of concern, especially once they left, that there was going to be this big hole left in the industry. And Power Rangers filled that excellently, and it provided work for a lot of people again. And again, to be able to perform within that international environment, it's always very exciting. There's that whole thing of overnight success. Well, he's an overnight sensation. He's only been working in the industry 30 years. You never know, but it's just great fun to be part of and creating these characters and having, as Peter said, having fun with Jim in the studio and having fun with the voices and the situations they're thrown into. It's just, couldn't get a better job, really.
Yeah, it was they really filled the void when Xena and Herc left, and all of a sudden there was this. I think there was Disney then, and all of a sudden this Disney production was in town, and really, and that absorbed a lot of the crew, the directors and art department, all those people. It was fantastic. It was a godsend, really was. And yet most of New Zealand, apart from this year in the industry, didn't know what was going on, and it still is. But one element of my Porcupine character was quite good with his needles. He could change people. He could shoot a needle into someone and change their personalities. It turned that girl into a biker girl, and that was kind of funny because the power of just shooting a needle out your hand and then you could change someone.
Yes,
over.
because in an earlier episode, she even tried to make Camille feel better about herself because she was that loving of a person, and now she's just like popping her legs onto the table, eating hot wings with her bare hands, and just
it's her alter ego.
Yeah, and just threatening Fran to get her more hot wings. That episode was a delight to watch.
That's never happened in the world before. Pricks making problems for people.
Right. So here's a question I have specifically for Jeff, and my question is: did you expect Dai Shi to be an iconic villain in Power Rangers history?
Not at all. No idea. It's, as I say, we never became aware of them becoming iconic because we didn't have any feedback on them. The show certainly never afterwards came back to us and said, "Wow, this character's become huge within the morphing environment." And we were like, "Well, yeah, okay." We never saw it, so we weren't able to follow the progress of them. So the fact that it has is very humbling, and I feel sort of a little ashamed that I don't have more memory of it or more information that I can feed onto you guys about it, other than my very scant memories of the time of doing it towards the very start of my time with the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'll say this much: in the game Battle for the Grid, Dai Shi's definitely a part of my 3-character roster. Just saying. Now, question for Peter: did you expect Porcupongo to be a fan favorite monster of the day?
Is he? I didn't know. Hell no. What a bonus. Yeah. No, in a nutshell. And again, it was so long. Like, so how big is this Porcupongo these days? I mean, has he got he's got his own little
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. I am the vice president of the Porcupongo fan club. Just saying.
There you go. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Mikhall, we're not joking, Mikhall, when we say we just have no concept of where this stands within fandom overall. In New Zealand, there is literally no awareness of it. Even though it is screening on television now, if I say to people, I'm in this show and I do voices for Power Rangers, they look at me and go, "What's that?" Power Rangers got dropped off New Zealand television in the early 90s because TV people decided that kids were going to school and fighting and copying the arts.
Yeah, I remember in one country, the show was removed because the word morphin was close to the word morphine.
Oh.
I can't remember which country, but
that's crazy.
Possibly Afghanistan, where they make it. So no, but for here it was because the kids were violent. So, and as I say, I only tripped over the show on TV2 last year, the latest series on TV2. So it's definitely on screen here now, but it's at like 3 or 4:30 in the afternoon, and so no adults or other industry people watch it. And I'm not a bit of anyone saying, because my friends are quite up about saying, "Oh, my kids saw you on Wendy Woo the other week, they loved you as a security guard." And I'm going, "That's 25 years old as well." My gosh.
Yes, and of course, there's that one time you got stampeded by sports fans in Ninja Storm.
That's right. Yeah, I think that was my very first appearance on it. So yeah.
Wonderful. My final question is: if you could change any aspect of your character, any at all, what would it be?
That I got more information about him before I started.
Yeah. If we knew what we were doing.
It might have enabled me to give a bit more depth to it, or do a different voice or whatever. And I don't know whether you guys think it was the greatest voice or the best voice for it. You guys, everyone has their own opinion as to how they think the voice should possibly sound. But yeah, if we'd had a bit more information at the time, maybe we might have made it a bit more complex or whatever. But let's be honest, this show isn't about complexity. It's about the fun. The storylines are quite out there and nonsensical and illogical sometimes. But we just have a great time with it, and people enjoy that. So that's what we've got to remember. And so we get in there and have as much fun as we can with it, because we know people are enjoying what's going on. So.
Yeah, I think that might have been part of its charm, Jeff, is that we were flying blind. We were making it up on the fly, all that stuff, and that seemed to work. Maybe if we did have more information and stuff, we might read it too much into those characters and try and play it too hard when really, Yeah,
correct. Good point. Yeah, you got to pitch it. You got to pitch it to your audience. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. So before we continue, I would like to introduce a friend and Morphin Network coworker of mine who has a couple of questions that he would like to ask. Please say hello to Leo, and I will leave you to it.
Thanks, Mikhall.
Yeah,
hey,
cheers.
Well, can't hear you.
My bad. Sorry, Vengeance must have got to me. Peter and Jeff, I have watched you guys' work, and it's amazing through Power Rangers and through your other projects and stuff like that, including Shorties. But yes, I did watch it. But my question to you guys is, so your guys' season Jungle Fury turned 13 this year, and is still dubbed as one of the most unique seasons of Power Rangers.
Really?
Did you guys ever think that the season would leave such an impact to this day?
Hell no.
No, not at all. It's we don't realize the impact that the whole series has had, the whole franchise has had. So specific series, we really don't that at all. We're happy it has. It's fantastic. Glad you guys are enjoying it. And hopefully we'll get a bit more background on it now that we understand it is. And I think the only true way to do this is when you talk with the likes of yourself and other fans of the show. We really understand how popular it is.
All right, Peter.
Yeah, totally. Who knew? I didn't know there was even different series. But great to be involved in the hot ticket one. Honor, pleasure. Thank you very much.
Like, because I started watching Jungle Fury since the pandemic and stuff, and I have to say, like, I I really liked it, and it sucks I didn't get to watch it when I was at the age I was at when it came out. So
how old were you? Sorry, mate. When did you first watch it?
So the show came out in 2008. I was 13 at the time and
Right.
stuff like that. So I'm 26 now. So I at least got the chance to watch it. And I'm like, amazing.
Awesome.
My next question is to you, Jeff. So what was it like coming back as the voice of Koragg in the Power Rangers Beast Morphers villain special? And the dance scene as the janitor, was that your idea or was that the producer's idea?
Yeah. So the Beast Morpher, the Koragg one comeback was an unusual, and someone explained it to me recently as to why they had to do it. I actually had to re-record the lines last year, and apparently it was something to do with, because it was during the Disney time, that they didn't own the music rights to the music they had on it, so they had to re-record it to put new music underneath, which made perfect sense, because at the time I went, why don't you just use the old one? But didn't worry me, it was a day's work, so it was nice. And again, I wasn't sure what the context of it all was. I got told in studio, oh, there's this episode where someone brings back a whole lot of the old villains, and you're one of them. And it's like, oh, okay, cool, I understand now. Get on with it. As to the other question with the dancer, I had made a couple of appearances earlier as the courier and the delivery man, or picking up things, and these little cameos, which, to be honest, my friend Oliver Driver, who was directing, was surprised that I agreed to do. And one of them was literally the day before the actor got sick and had to pull out, and they got in touch and said, would you do it? And I thought it was a bit of a bigger character. And then I received the script and found out it was like this 1 day, 9 words characters. I was like, what? Okay, Oliver agreed to it, I'll go and do it. And Oliver saw me and said, look, we've got some other characters like this coming up. Would you be happy to do those as well? I said, well, yeah, if they're happy to. And so, yeah, literally it was sort of a happy sequence of events that they just said, Jeff's done a great job with that. We'll use them on that one too, and that one too. And so the dancing one was scripted, but it was put in because one of the producers who talked to me that day said, the stuff you did with that other thing, that was so funny. I just wanted you to come and do this too and see what you do with it. It was just great. So I got to make up the dance myself. Like, I had to audition for it to show that I could dance. So, and then on the day it was like, yeah, do a bit of this, a bit of that, but during that you've got to push that button, and during that you've got to stumble over here, and you can't acknowledge this great big thing with these 2 people inside it. You can't see that at all. It was like, okay. So I tried to ignore that thing that was actually in the room with me. So yeah. No, it was good, and that was great fun. I was very tired at the end of it because it took about 3 hours to film that sequence, and I was dancing pretty much the whole time. I remember getting cramp and almost pulling a muscle during one of the scenes, so I had to modify my dance steps.
All I would say is when I saw you in that episode, I did the Leonardo DiCaprio thing from Once Upon a Time from Hollywood. I'm like, oh, I know that guy. Also, when we meet in person, just keep in mind our producer Ryan might challenge you to a dance battle because he likes to dance and go against a lot of Power Rangers who could dance. So just I'm warning you right now. It might turn to Stomp the Yard.
I'm ready for that.
Speaking of which,
really, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that actually, because I get the feeling Ryan might be a little bit smaller than me, and I'll just sit on him.
All right, get to say hi, but okay, fine.
Oh my god! And my last question is to Peter Ford. So, Peter, of the 2 voices that you did, which one was your favorite to do? Porcupongo from Jungle Fury or Water Hoser from RPM?
Water Hose is a great name for a character.
Yes, right. Water Hoser, yeah, with the great, you can fire balls of cannon out of his hoser thingy. And well, actually, to be perfectly honest, I can't entirely remember what Water Hoser did sound like, but I suspect he wasn't too similar to Porcupongo, really. But I do remember Porcupongo. He was a great fun character voice. You know, I was at one with that porcupine.
I'm gonna Google Water Hoser and see what comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit rude.
Before I let my partner Mike back in, so for the audience, as Dai Shi and Porcupongo, here's the scenario. Both villains forgot to pay the power bill. The power bill was due 2 days ago. How do they react? Dai Shi, your power just went out. What's going to happen?
Our company is not going to be happy. I need power. Give me power.
Awesome. Porcupongo, your power's went out, dude. What happened?
I'm nothing without electricity. How am I going to fire up my electric toothbrush? And I've got so many teeth to brush. It's going to be the end of me. So I'm going to go out and generate my own electricity by rubbing my spines and getting enough static and harness it and channel it into my DC current, and I'll be fine. So don't you worry about giving me any more power. I don't want your power anymore. I can make it myself.
Beautiful.
It's a true story.
Oh man.
Hello.
All right.
Well, it's
Talking about him. Stop talking.
okay. For a second there, I thought you were gonna make an epic monologue of true villainy. Okay, well, I want to thank everyone one more time for showing up. I want to thank Leo for being such a wonderful co-host, and I want to thank you, Jeff and Peter, for being such wonderful guests. Thank you for answering all of our questions. I hope you had a lot of fun, and I also want to thank our hosts from Power Morphicon for letting us host this virtual panel. I know for some of you, this may be your first panel related to conventions or even a Power Morphicon altogether. So hopefully next year, when Morphicon will be fully physical at a convention center, hopefully we'll see the both of you there. You get to say hello to all the wonderful fans, and yes, the Porcupongo fan club. Just saying. Yes, and Jeff, I still haven't forgotten. I will try to find that cell phone morpher for you.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Yes, I haven't forgotten from that interview we had that one time.
Cool.
So everyone, thank you for watching this panel, and hope you enjoyed the rest of virtual Power Morphicon Online. Have a great day, everyone.
Stay safe everybody. In the future.
Jeffrey, that's battle. But yeah, guys, I want to again say thank you to Lauren Stone and Scott Zillner for letting us host this panel. I was behind the scenes, recording this, so yes. And before we leave, two of you guys, where can you find your social media? Jeffrey and Peter, do you have any social media accounts?
You can go for geoffreydolan.com for my website. And there is a Facebook page, Geoffrey Dolan Facebook page, specifically for the fans. And then Jeff Dolan 1, I think, is my Twitter. I'm not hugely active on the social media, that side of things, but I do my best. I'm one of those old fogies, so the social media befuddles me sometimes. I got suspended by Facebook for 3 days for I don't even know what. I didn't even say anything. I hadn't been on for 4 days. And they suspended me for 3 days. So I don't know what's going on there.
Peter?
Yeah, well, similar to Jeff, actually. I'm on Facebook, just Peter Ford at Facebook. That's just for me. And on Instagram, Peter Field, as in fields, like those things in Norway. Peter Field at Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, I'm just saying hi. And Mike, finish us off.
Of course. And everyone, thank you for watching this panel. Enjoy the rest of the online experience of Morphicon Online, and we'll see you all next year at the actual Power Morphicon of 2022. Until then, may the power protect you. Goodbye.